What's going on, everyone? Phil coming to you here from SJ Rian and Aim High REI. Bud has off today, but I am super excited to bring in our guest today that we'll be interviewing. We'll be picking his brain. He is a guru in the real estate investor network. I would not be where I am personally at today without this individual, so he has a special spot in my heart. And I just really want to share this guy with you all here. If you've been a part of the SJREIN family for a while, you know him, and it's no other than Mr. JP Kilduff.
What up? What
What's
up?
going on, my brother?
Not much, man. It's been a long time since I've actually watched that intro video, man. Do you remember that event? Uh-oh. Is it me? Did I lose you or did you lose me?
Yeah, it might have been me. Let's see here.
Oh, you're back. You're back. Maybe. Nope. I think you're gone again. All right. Look at this. This is Phil. He's like, yo, welcome to the show. Oh, by the way, it's yours. Go for it.
Yeah, you take it from here.
Yeah. All right. I think you're back. You're like kind of in and out.
Want to make sure we got all the kinks worked out. JP still got me clear and good to go.
Yes, sir. You're back.
All right, great. Okay, so yeah, super excited to have JP back with us here today. If you haven't gotten to know him, you're going to get to know him a little bit better today. And we're going to go into a very specific chapter in which his life is now on the journey of, and it's super.
Oh, I'm just gonna have some fun with it. Every time you drop off, bro, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw up. I'm gonna have some fun with this.
Man, I don't know what it is. StreamYard is not liking me today. So, JP, give us a little bit of background about yourself. Where you're at currently in the real estate investing space, and where you're heading with what you got going on.
Yeah, for sure. So. Where I'm at currently, I'm in Melbourne, Florida, where I retired about a year ago. Actually, I've only been here for about 7 months. And in my real estate investing journey, I was just starting back up. I did a series not too long ago, the relaunch for Anchored Homes. And it was really about, what I was noticing is I had taken 2 years off when I transferred from the New Jersey market down into Florida. And when I started to get back into the Florida market, like I started from ground zero. Like I didn't know the market. I didn't have agents. I didn't have contractors, leads, marketing, anything. And so very quickly I realized, like when I started to get back into it, I'm like, oh, damn, like this isn't going to be as easy as I thought it was going to be. And there was a lot of like little mindset things that I think as new entrepreneurs, maybe we know that it's there, but sometimes ignorance is bliss and we just don't know, like, hey, it's a sign, but you're like, the idea of your dream and building your company just kind of gets you through a lot of those little things, which is what happened the first time when we started in New Jersey. But then starting back up the second time, it was like I knew those little things were important, and it actually slowed me down. And it made me like, and I'm a person who takes a lot of action like quickly. And the fact that I was slowing down, I was like, ooh. Now I know, like through all the people that I was coaching, when I was like, just do it. I was like, oh, this is what they were experiencing. Yeah. All right, so. I'm not immune to it. And so I started documenting that journey of relaunching Anchored Homes down here in Florida. And it went about 6 months and I didn't get any leads. And I did hardcore marketing, dude. I had like multiple different platforms to text, to cold call, to do Facebook, social media, direct mail. Like I was doing it all and I wasn't getting any leads. And then there was a point there probably around December-ish where I was just like, I did a funny little video with me and my daughter. Like I threw in the towel,
Yeah,
and she
I remember.
and she like threw 3 of them right back in my face because we ended up getting 3 contracts back to back to back that week after I had thrown my hands up and said, I'm done with this. And so the universe has a funny way of saying, yeah, no, this is where you belong in real estate, around other real estate investors and doing this stuff. And so from there, we got our first Airbnb that we're renovating right now. We got our first flip, and then the other one fell out of contract. So that's where I'm at in my real estate journey right now.
Great. I love it. I love hearing it. It's the relaunch of Anchored Homes. If anybody knows our background, we were partners at one time with this, and you're right. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. The title for everybody here today is how to be a true entrepreneur, right? And there was plenty of times where you and I were burning the midnight oil, creating systems and protocols, you name it. And what it really comes down to in my mind is information overload. There's a lot of information in real estate investing here, and what I really appreciated from our relationship was what you brought to the table was how to help me understand it on a high level. You can quickly get lost in weeds. How many people here in the chat, give me a boom or a heck yeah if you get lost in the sauce, with this process at times. I know there's plenty of students that I coach, will come to me like, wow, my head's spinning, right? Because what I like in this thing too is we're driving a vehicle down a highway with like 58 off ramps, right? We have no idea where we're going yet. We just know that it's a great vehicle to be in. It's an awesome Lamborghini, right? And we hear all this stuff from the outside. Real estate investing, easiest way to be a millionaire. Real estate investing, buy your time back. Freedom. All that stuff sounds great. And what I really wanted to bring you back in the community here because this new chapter that you're into is super interesting to me as well. And I like how you're putting it that you got a deeper affinity for where you're at now, because when you don't have that backbone, right? When you don't have an organization to help pick up all that extra workload, right? So what do we do as investors? How do we be a true entrepreneur? In your opinion, JP, what is true entrepreneurship to you?
Entrepreneurship, I think for me, all right, so this is different for everybody, but I think entrepreneurship is somebody who can take an idea and then pitch that idea to other people and get them to buy in and create a system that then goes out and makes a difference in whatever community that they want to be a part of. So just having that vision and being able to implement that vision, in my opinion, like that's what separates people from, just going to work for somebody and having a 9-to-5 and working a job versus being a creator, an entrepreneur, and then an implementer of that. And so I think a lot of times, I know you asked me, what does that mean? But I think what it doesn't mean is that, there's this idea that becoming an entrepreneur is being able to like lay up on the islands and do nothing, which could be the case is if you really, really understand how to systemize and automate a business. But oftentimes what ends up happening is people get stuck, they get trapped in their own business, and they don't have like something that can operate without them. And so I think like to get to that true entrepreneurship, it's like being able to pitch that dream and getting people to come in and run that system is what true entrepreneurship's about.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, help support that vision and that goal, and that requires a lot of logistics, right? Specifically, when we talk about real estate investing, like I said, there's 28 different off ramps, and each off ramp has 38 different parameters in order to be successful. So we talk about wholesaling, like all the steps that go into the process of wholesaling from A to Z. You talk about flipping, the same thing there. Each one has its uniqueness to it, right? And there are, I'd like to argue non-negotiables that need to be implemented and executed, right? So when we talk about this very early on, I just will never forget our run early on. It just,
bro, it was epic. 2016, 2017, 2018, man. Like I think about it all the time. It was so legit.
we should have documented a lot of the steps so we can share people, because I think it's hard for me to articulate at times of the systems and the documenting and the meetings and all the stuff that went in that to make that successful, and in my opinion, what I was going to say is that, like, there's these non-negotiable things that you learn along the way. You're like, I have to have this step executed for me in order for me to increase my probability of success in this game. And when you come up with all these steps, or you learn these steps along the way from hearing from other people's journeys, it can become information overload. And you have to live in the role of the technician first, right? If you look at the description of our live stream today, everybody, we talk about technician to manager to entrepreneur, right? So I don't want anybody here to think today, when I'm interviewing JP and what he's about to share with us today, and this awesome, these gold nuggets he's going to drop for us, is that technician and manager is no use. That doesn't mean that what we're about to talk to you about today. We're going to talk about how to be a true entrepreneur, but those roles have their place. So I just want to make sure I give that caveat to everybody here. I hope you understand that we both, and JP himself specifically, have lived through the technician and the manager roles until understanding what true entrepreneurship is, but also having the liberty and the choice to be an entrepreneur at that point. So, when you were building out Anchored Homes, right? You did a lot of the back end systems and office systems, right? I was in charge of redevelopments, and we did create some stuff together, but you really filled that role very well of creating systems and protocols within the company. As you began doing that, you were introducing new tools into your organization, right? What were some of those tools that we're using, and why were you looking at some of those tools?
Yeah. So I think this is actually where I excel. And I think it really comes from like my 20 years of military experience, training thousands and thousands of recruits, going through basic training and advanced training. And so it's like, when you do something over and over and over again, you want to try to really create a result that's predictable, that's repeatable, and that's sustainable. And I think that sustainable piece was always something that I really, really focused on, because I knew that those nights that we were burning the midnight oil, bro, like, that's not sustainable. You know what I mean? And so it's like, what kind of tools can we put in place in order to sustain the momentum? And that's really what we had, bro. Like, we were so swept up with momentum that it was like, it was almost as if like things just were coming and we were just eating them up and just spitting them out and then just keep going. And so to be able to sustain that type of momentum, you have to have some tools. And one of the very first tools that we implemented was Google, man. Like Google, this whole like Zoom thing, I was like, every time someone sends me a Zoom link, or every time it's up to me to send out a meeting link and I send out a Google Meet, people are like, well, what is Google Meet? I'm like, bro, seriously? Come on. So, but no, Google for Business was a huge collaboration piece. And it's really, it's a blank slate, right? Like, you get a Google account and it's like, you have an empty inbox and you have a blank Google Drive. And so it's like, you have a canvas there to create whatever you want. And for us, I think one of the biggest things that we did for our organization, for our growth, was to really create a system, a back office system to operate out of. Each team had their own folder, the marketing team, the accounts team. And then we had what's called the property life cycle, which is like my brainchild, man. This is my baby, right? It's like the property life cycle, you have, the 3 phases of acquisitions, redevelopments, and sales. And so it's like, we really created through Google a nice spreadsheet system, a great Google Drive system, and also a lot of great email templates. So that way the communications that we were doing within the team were efficient and streamlined. And bro, even remember like the emails we would send outside of the team from our private, like pitching for private money, like the stuff that it was just a template that we created that we used in Google. And so I think, templating that, like, that was the number one tool that I believe set us up for success.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I think I remember it to the liking of how you would say that if it's something we're going to do more than once, it needs to be systemized. It needs to be put into a duplicatable process because now if the next time around you're retyping that email or whatnot, you were being inefficient with your time. We're talking about as high level here. Now high level can be you have an organization, right? So you have to buy back your time when you're running an organization or when you're running volume of multiple properties. You have to have something like that. But what about a lot of you solopreneurs that are in here watching right now or part of our communities? There's still a need for that because what if you don't want this to rob every waking hour of your day, and you want to buy back some of your time, or maybe you do want to grow your business models and you can't find the ability to grow, or you have a lot of fear in growing because you're bogged down by day-to-day routine tasks. One of the other pieces of software too that was really cool and I think pivotal for us was teamwork. And the
Yeah,
communication,
yeah.
it was the automation of tasks being triggered within that. That was when we really reached the peak in Anchored Homes in, bringing together all these other pieces of software, right? And,
Yeah,
you know,
so at that time though, it wasn't just teamwork, bro. Like teamwork was actually like the third different thing that we brought in because it was Google and then we had RealFlow and during like RealFlow has so many little nooks and crannies and different things and we became like a power user of the software, man. Like we were using parts of RealFlow that even RealFlow didn't even know
yeah.
that it could do that because that's what, like, I'm like, look, like how many people that are watching this either live or even on a replay, like go ahead and put in the chat like who would love to have one program to be able to do everything in your business rather than having 17 different
Yeah.
logons to 17 different platforms to do texts, to do
Yeah.
mail, to do Facebook, to do all of it, right? Like there's just like, I just remember that was one of our things. I was like, you know what? Like we're going all in on RealFlow. We're going to figure out how to manage the properties, how to communicate with the sellers, how to track all of it. The task management, dude, we built out the task list that had over 100 tasks from the moment you evaluate a property to the moment you sell a property. And we had one person would go in. This is how dedicated I was to getting the most out of the system. We had one person every time we got a property under contract that they would go in and they would input all of those tasks manually for the team. So that way every team knew what they needed to do for the property.
Mhm.
But that's where I realized, man, I was like, all right, it was taking like 2.5 hours to implement that part, like to get the tasks in there for everybody. And that's when I was like, there's got to be a better way, man. So I worked with RealFlow to see if I could get them to implement something and they couldn't do it. And then so that's when we went to Teamwork. And so
Mhm.
now we had Google Drive, we had RealFlow, and then now we bolted on Teamwork to do all of the task management, which I think
Yep.
like today a lot of people might use like ClickUp or Monday or something like that. There's a lot of different ones, right? And
Right.
so that's when we went to Teamwork. Teamwork became our task management. And
Mhm.
also the other beautiful thing that it introduced, do you remember? It was Teamwork Chat,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Controlling conversations very well. Well, not
dude,
controlling, but organizing. Yeah.
that was huge
Yeah.
for us as well. Like as the owner of a business, as an entrepreneur, like how many times has anybody that's watching right now, like if you have other people on your team, it's like, oh man, did they communicate with me on, like, where did they send that? Was that to my email? Was that to my text?
Yeah.
Was that to Facebook Messenger? Right. So
Yep.
having a unified channel for all of that, and then like drawing the line and saying, if you are talking about business, it goes into Teamwork Chat. If it's personal, then text me, right? So now we had 4 different systems. So
Mhm.
we were starting to get into that area where it was just like, how many different things is it going to take to
Mhm.
accomplish the one thing that we want to do?
Yeah, which was efficiently move a property through its life cycle. I really like the terminology, that the phrase that got coined on there. The life cycle of property, whether it's a flip, a wholesale, a multifamily, whatever you consider it, there's a life cycle to that acquisition to go all the way down to disposition and however you're going to disposition it or restructure it and hold it, right? So each one of those, we all can kind of just start, running off in the chat if we wanted to, series of tasks that come to our mind that are required to get from A to Z on any type of deal here with real estate. So if I were to ask you, If there was a way that somebody could create a singular product that could do majority of everything we just talked about right here, would you call me crazy?
I would tell you that it probably does not exist.
Yeah. And if it was 5 years ago when we were doing this, or 3 years, I mean, I always say it's like longer than what it is. It was only a few years ago. Slow down here. um, if I asked you that question back then, would you tell me I was crazy?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I want to talk about today, because the product that you have introduced me to recently is starting to change my thinking there and make me think that maybe I'm not so crazy, but I'm still curious. And the verdict is still out, in my opinion. I call it as honest as I can here for you guys in this community, and this is why I love to bring special guests in and different points of views and opinions in. But I'm starting to get sold on what we're about to talk about here today. We talked about how to be a true entrepreneur, and we talk about this task management aspect and this communication aspect here. And really, like, we all have to admit, if we humbly admit that we can never be a true entrepreneur unless we were to honestly free up our time, right? Because otherwise you really are just a technician or you're a manager within your company. That's just the way it is. So true entrepreneurship, in my opinion, has to have one qualification, which is buying back your time through efficiencies, and then your business is basically running very in an automated type of way, whether it be through a bunch of busy bee workers, through softwares, or whatever it be. That's the bare minimum, in my opinion, to check off a box to be a true entrepreneur. So when we look at this here and we talk about these things and we're sharing with all of you here about these other products that we use, and I see it here in the chat, Kimney's talking about it. She's got a three-headed, spear here with RealFlow, CRM, and Privy. What I wanted to bring to you guys today is something that is, I don't know if it's relatively new or cutting edge. Maybe you can set the record straight for us, JP. But this product is doing it well on multiple fronts. This system that JP, this chapter that he is in his life right now, is very interesting to me because of that. Like, I never could find, or we could never even find, a one singular-ish type of product that could do all these different phases very well. Because that was what drove us into these other products. Like you say, I remember like literally talking and sending emails you were doing with RealFlow's, design team on the back end to say, can you please add this feature or tweak this here so that it works better at the level in which I need it to operate for my company or our organization, right? So why don't you tell us a little bit, what is this new thing, this new chapter that you're into, that you're so excited about and you're so passionate about?
Yeah, for sure. So it actually is something that exactly what you just said, man. Like, I was working, it was born from just sitting down and like looking back on all the effort that I've put in, whether it was building this entire system out on RealFlow and then working with RealFlow's team to try to improve it, and then realizing that wasn't going to happen. Then building the entire system out again on Teamwork, and then realizing that, okay, I still built the same system on a platform and it didn't have everything. Mm-hmm. And then going to another CRM and building out the entire thing there, and then not having the support. And I'm just like, man, like, what I find myself doing is continuing to build out this property lifecycle blueprint, like the blueprint for anchored homes, all the systems and all the connections and all the tasks and all the communications. Like, I was building it on everybody else's platform. And I'm just like, you know what? I think what I need to do is I just need to figure out how to build this on my own platform, so that way I'm in charge of how to support it, how to adjust it, how to improve it, what to take away, what to give, and all that. And so that's what I ended up doing. So I found a very, very powerful baseline platform that I now call mine. It's Lada CRM. And inside of Lada, I have literally recreated the blueprint of anchored homes with everything that we've been talking about so far. All of the tasks, 100+ tasks across the entire property life cycle. It's got the teams built out. So even if you're a solarpreneur, like, you still have different departments in your business. Like, at some point you're wearing the marketing hat. At some point you're wearing the acquisitions hat. And so it's all built out with all of those teams in mind. So tasks, emails, templates, I mean, you name it. It's got the ability, from the marketing side, you can market your business on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Google My Business, like our Google business profile. Like I can do all of that in my CRM. And I looked at all of the different things, all the different logons I had, right? Like I tried to do a little bit with HubSpot with in constant contact with email communications. I'm like, you know what? I can get rid of that. I brought it into my CRM. I have an email builder marketing campaign that you can do email blasts with. What's the other one? DocuSign, right? Like I was like, why do I need a DocuSign account? So I built out a function inside the CRM so that way you don't need a signing app anymore. It's like contracts can be sent and signed within the CRM now. And even on the lead generation side, we have a power dialer built right into our CRM. So you can upload a list of 100, 200, 300 names and, kick off the campaign. And as it dials through, it's like, did they reach somebody? No. Boom. It puts it into an automation that we've created that will cycle that back in 3 days. So you can call them again. And then after the third touch, it goes to a direct mail campaign. Dude, I mean, like, it's like
super high level,
bro. It's like everything that I was building on all these other platforms. I'm like, okay, how can I build that here? Okay, I need to hire an engineer, build this, tweak this, interface this. Boom, here you go. It's ready. And I just did that over and over and over again with as many components as I possibly can within the real estate investing space.
And mind you, everybody watching here too, these are all like the individual requirements, or not requirements, but components that you put into this, we'll call it an erector set here, real estate investing software on steroids. Basically every single component you bolted onto it was something that was tested and proven and tried in a business model already, right? So this, you reference anchored homes, you know what I mean? So it's making me jog my memory. Like, it was really cool when we saw RealFlow came out with the Moji, right? It was the text message, text this number, Mobi, right? So it was a text message, right? And then auto responders back. That was cutting edge at the time when they were doing it. And this system does all these things. So when we talk about entrepreneurship, right, to stay on topic here, we're talking about basically like, how do you buy your time? How do you get super efficient with this thing and still drive a good product to the people we're trying to service? We're trying to help people with their homes. So imagine you're juggling your contractor onboarding process and communications over here, and you've got a bandit sign campaign going off over here, and you got a foreclosures list going off over here, So like, how does this help with all of that, right? How does this put this in one spot? Like to me, when I first heard it, and I'm sure a lot of people sitting here listening right now are like, yeah, okay, how does that even look? How does that even work? Is it even possible?
Yeah. All right. So dude, the one thing that you just described, I would be curious for all the people that are watching, how many people have ever or are currently going through like this start-stop marketing, right? It's like they start marketing, they get the bandit signs out, they get this out, they get a lead, it turns into a deal. And it's like all of a sudden the marketing has to stop in order for them to be able to handle the contract, to go out and raise the private money, to go out and build the scope of work and get the contractor documents. And all this time, it's like they can't focus on marketing because they don't have a system in place to handle all of the little details to be able to actually grow and scale, to be able to bring somebody on and take care of that, right? And so that's what I see a lot of is like this start-stop marketing because there's no systems in place. So, imagine if you could do all that marketing, and then when you get a property under contract, you can decide, where do you want to keep the automation going? Do you want to keep the property automation going with like going to closing and having tasks come up automatically and clicking them and doing all that so that way you can concentrate on the marketing still? Probably, but maybe not. Maybe some people want to concentrate on the other one, right? And then just say, let's let the marketing be automated and we'll just keep letting it fill up and then we'll come back to it. And so that's the beautiful thing about, this entire system is built for somebody who wants to do one deal, who's just starting out and doesn't know, like, there's a thing where it's like, you don't know what you don't know, right? Until you get there. And what I've seen a lot, and this is like one of my pet peeves, and like why I did what I did, was like, so many times you get handed this thing, but you have it's so overwhelming, you don't know what to do with it. Right.
Yep.
And
I see that a lot in the coaching. I see a lot of like, basically it's like, let me give you the Legos, all the Legos to this Star Wars ship that you can build, but I'm not going to give you the instruction manual.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh, figure it out. Oh, you know what? The best thing to do is teach people how to fish. They'll figure it out the hard way. That's the best way for them to learn. So that way they don't rely on me to do everything. And I always thought, like, from a coaching perspective, that's never the way that I did it, because I know when I was coming up and I was trying to learn, man, like, I didn't want to hire a coach. I didn't want to pay for a program to figure out like how to do it myself. I could have gone to YouTube for that, right? Like, when I'm paying for something, whether it's a service or a product, it's like, listen, I'm okay with the templates at first. And then over time, as I'm getting deals and I'm starting to understand it, like, I'll tweak my message. I'll tweak this, I'll tweak that to make it specific to my business. But like, in the meantime, the whole point of getting a coach or a tool or a system or a process is like to accelerate the amount of, or to accelerate how quickly you can get to a deal and reduce the amount of like time and money and all of that to be able to get there. And so,
and all the build out process,
dude, so many times I see, like, there's a lot of people out there right now that are pitching CRMs, and it's like, you go into the CRM and then it's like nothing's built out. Right. So it's like, it's literally like that blank Google Drive, right? When we got the Google Drive, like, we had to figure out how to build it out. Well, you're paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars for these CRMs, and it's like, there's nothing there, and you got to figure it all out. And so that's why I said dude, and this is what I've done with several of the businesses that we started. I'm like, there's got to be a better way. There's a better way to do this. There's a better way for customer service. There's a better way for setup. There's an easier route to success for people who are going to use this service, which is why we created Lada, because we wanted to create that blueprint and literally hand over our 6-7 years of experience, hand it over day one, already built out inside the CRM for everybody to like start kicking ass.
Yeah. That's, I really like how you put it, because I mean, how many people here in the chat, go ahead and drop a comment if you can relate to this about, you get into these pieces of software that are recommended, right? You get into real estate education in general, right? Like, you get into these communities and it's like, hey, you want to use Privy's great. And it's like, well, how do I even use it? I need a whole nother coach and tutorial just for this new component, this new subscription or tool that's been, shared with me, and that's where I can really see a lot of people, even within their own, you want to keep the analogy going, start, stop in their education and growth process, is because of the overwhelming nature of like, now I got to learn a whole nother tool and work it out. So, I'd like to speak to that a little bit. It may seem biased here, and why JP's here, but whatever it is, what it is, I'm going to bring good content to all of you here. Am I still going good? I break it.
Yeah, you're good, bro. You're good.
Okay. Good content here, stuff that I have tested myself, or even Bud Evans himself, have tested and tried. Even JP and I, when we were together here running SJREIN for all of you guys, we had a rule for vendors. They were not allowed into the community unless we had vetted them and qualified them first ourselves and used them literally. Without naming names, there are vendors that are no longer with us because there were things that we did not agree with in the long run. So we yanked that and we pulled that away from the community for y'all, because we want to set you guys up for success. What we're talking about here, what we did was an amazing thing to ourselves, and we just want to share that with everybody else. It was just so much fun to experience success at a high level and a high volume here, So fast forward to my point here, what I'm getting at is that through just a series of just general conversations, JP and I were talking not too long ago, and it was honestly about a vanity number that he had no more use for. And he started telling me about this product. And you know what I was doing? I was listening to you, JP, on the back, and I'm going, yeah, like, am I ready for another tool that I need to invest 100 plus hours into to figure out? Like, I'm just tired of wasting my time and money. I've done it time after time where I've learned enough about myself and my character that if I don't commit myself or devote myself to it, I'm going to waste my time and effort in the long run, and money too. And when you presented to me I'm going to personally hand over the blueprint here to this, right? And I'm going to run you through a series of meetings together, and we're going to customize it towards your business model specifically. That's when my interest got piqued, because it's exactly what you're speaking about. How many people have seen all over the place, tools shared to you for real estate investing, and you start to get this disdain in your mouth of like, yeah, okay, well, is it real? How can I realistically apply that into my day-to-day operations or my business? Or who's going to help me get that up and running? Because I'm already busy as heck. I got 2 flips going on over here. I got another rental over here. I can't even possibly add a new tool to learn into my company. So this what we're talking about today, a lot of CRM for all of you guys here, and bringing JP in to show you about this, is that it's not just a product. It's not just alone an amazing product with a lot of amazing capabilities. It's a product with guidance, and I think that's key in this industry for all of us, especially if we're super busy. If you really are listening to what we're saying here, what JP and I only want to take about 10% credit. Literally, JP, you built so much. I felt like I was just a catalyst at times for you, but literally that midnight oil that we were burning, that JP was burning even more than me in building out and learning how to create efficient stuff, like scratch paper from like, throw this idea out, this works, that doesn't work, this works, that doesn't work. He's handing that off to all of you here through his product. It's so hard to quantify the value to all of you here of what it is that he's talking about. And I wish we had hours here to kind of screen share and go through it. But if you guys are hearing what I'm saying and this is attracted to you, like, reach out to him directly here. JP, if you can, put in I think you can comment here. If you can just drop any type of resource for the community here, if they can connect with you, I'll also put it out there on a social media post for all of you. But we're just scratching the surface for y'all today, right? And I wanted you to see from his heart here, JP, what he's putting out and what this can do for you. Do I dare say, is it limitless?
That was one of the reasons why we chose it, because it really is like, if there is, and this is what I was telling you, Phil, it's like, yo, tell me what you need. Tell me some other subscriptions that you have. And if it's something that I think would be valuable to the community at Lada, I'll pay to have it freaking integrated into the system. Like, that's, it pretty much is limitless. It can do just about anything any real estate investor would ever need for their business.
Yeah. And that comes from, this platform that you're a part of, the back end engineering, right? And the capabilities, right? So it's also, there's a whole backbone to this thing that we'll probably never understand or need to understand as investors, and you're that middleman or you're that connector, right? To help make that born, right? Because of your innovative nature and your mindset, bringing that into space. So, if there's any type of like wrapping up points here you'd like to share with us, JP, like what would be like the biggest takeaway for yourself personally as you're experiencing the back end side of this thing that you're building, of like, because you're personally still investing, right? You're still doing real estate investment. This isn't something that you're just, like we hear a lot of times in professionals industry, and I don't want to say it with a smirk, but it's hard not to.
Don't say professional coaches.
Get out of real estate investing and then professionally sell a component of real estate investing, but aren't still actively investing. It's kind of like, at times when I hear that, I'm like, well, what's to say is it being tested and tried today? Is it tried and true for today's real estate investing market? So for you, what I'd like to wrap up here with our conversation today for the community watching is, what is it that's your takeaway live as you're doing it and investing at the same time and using this tool personally? What is your biggest takeaway?
So actually, I really appreciate the question, Phil, but I do want to say something as a wrap up here. And it's that I've talked to more people than I can count on my hands about the CRM, and we've put them through basically an interview process, and some people aren't ready for a CRM, and that's okay. And that's what I want people here to understand. Like, when we're like this whole talk, like the CRM is amazing, and it really is a tool to help somebody systemize and automate their business so they can grow and scale. But at the end of the day, like, it really is like, a CRM is only as good as the person is willing to use it, right? Like, and that goes for any tool. Like, you can spend as much money as you want on a tool, but if you don't use it, then it's worthless. And so what I've noticed is that not everybody is ready for a CRM. Some people are really, really good at using their notebook and a paper calendar, and like they're killing it. And I'm like, they come to me and they're like, "Do you think that I need a CRM?" I'm like, not if you're going to use it. I mean, if you're killing it on your paper stuff, then why not keep doing that? Now, if you're asking me that what's the easiest way to get myself out of this role and grow and scale my company, then absolutely doing it on paper is not going to be the answer. But if you're going to just do it by yourself, then just do whatever is going to keep you in the game, getting to your next deal. And so I'm all for anybody who uses paper, who's doing deals, because that's what's working for them. But at any point, if you're like, I really need to bring people on, you're not going to be able to do that with paper on your desk, because you just like the communication won't be there. The collaboration won't be there, which is huge, which is what a tool like a CRM allows you to do, is just have like one place to manage your business, and then have people all across the country, heck, all across the world, be able to tap into your system and have real-time updates. And so that's really what I want to like, to be an entrepreneur. The first thing that I would challenge, or I would invite everybody to do on this call today, is document what you're doing on a daily basis. So when I first started off, I literally created a spreadsheet, and it was broken down by 15-minute intervals from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed. And I would document every time I started a new task, I would document it. And then when I ended it, and then after 2 weeks of that, I went back and I started to notice that there were trends, that there were things that I was doing on a regular basis. And I was like, what role am I filling when I'm doing this? Well, that's a marketing role. And I noticed I had about like 8 or 9 different times throughout the week where I was doing a marketing role. So now I can start to really understand my business, the roles and responsibilities, which is like the first step, understanding the company structure. And this is what I talk about in my training, is like understanding the company structure is one of the first things that you're going to have to do in order to elevate yourself from technician to manager, and then from manager to entrepreneur. And so that would be my key takeaway through this entire process, is all the people that just aren't ready for a CRM. I mean, instead of spending $300 for a CRM, put that into marketing and get a lead, unless you're ready for the CRM. So
very well put. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I hope everybody sees here, that's the honesty. It's not about, I don't want to ever seem like we're coming on here or anybody's pushing just a product or trying to sell anything. It's just sharing experiences here, what works, what doesn't work. And everything doesn't work for everybody, right? Everybody has their unique approaches, and their unique systems. But I do believe that this is a very big topic to help people see, how do you become a true entrepreneur, at least get you thinking in that way, right? And that was the point of today and bringing you in, JP. And I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us. And like I said, if you can drop in the chat, or we'll drop it in.
I can't chat anything because I didn't log into StreamYard. I can't chat. So, but
I'll get it out to the community. We'll put together a post for everybody and we'll share it out.
Well, one thing I wanted to piggyback off that comment was, and I was actually talking to you like right before we went live. It was something that, through all of those conversations that I was having, I was like, man, not everybody needs a CRM, but they still could benefit from this property lifecycle blueprint, from this back office system. It's like the same thing I've been teaching like when I was coaching for Fortune Builders, I was coaching for Homeschool by Tark, I was coaching for Pace Morby. Like I would teach everybody this back office system, this property lifecycle blueprint. So I'm like, I really need to put something together for the people who aren't ready for the CRM yet, but still need to implement this to get themselves to a point where they're ready for the CRM. And so over the last week or so, I've been burning the midnight oil, putting together this it's called the Property Lifecycle Blueprint. So it's about it's like 27 different checklists that we've created over our business, along with our back office folder structure. And also it has a ton of the spreadsheets that we use. I mean, Phil, like, we use the heck out of some spreadsheets. And so There's like 9 or 10 different spreadsheets that basically I generalized and I'm going to make available as well as part of this back office system, this property lifecycle blueprint. And so it's going to be available. It's almost complete, but when it's done, it's going to be available at myreiblueprint.com, myreiblueprint.com. And then when you go there, there'll be a chance. The website will run you through it. Phil, for your community, for the SJ Rian, I could probably I'll give you guys a discount code, which I'll share with you. I don't have anything set up yet, but I'll give you guys a discount code so you guys can get it under $100.
Great. That sounds awesome. I'm excited for what you're building here. I'm glad you could get on for all of us today and carve out a little bit of time, family time on the weekend to share with us these nuggets. Super appreciate it. Anybody that's watching right now, give me a little boom in the chat, a little thank you to Mr. JP here for getting on and dropping some serious knowledge for us. We hope we were able to add some value to all of your businesses and your lives today. I truly am beginning to really appreciate these Saturdays that I get to spend with you all. I can't wait to find the next guest, and probably bring JP back in the future again too. He's got a lot more than just CRMs and that amazing brain of his there. So yes, everyone have a great Saturday. Truly appreciate you all, and we'll talk to you on the next one.